Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. Introduction. Imagine you're 18 years old. You're in your first year of business school in London, and your world revolves around lectures from CEOs, celebrities, and the relentless chase for what everyone tells you is success. One day, a friend asks you to go with him to hear a monk give a talk. You resist. Why would I want to go hear some monk? You say. You're interested in people who have accomplished things in life? People with wealth, fame, and power. A monk, in your mind, is the opposite of all that. But your friend persists, and you finally give in, but only on one condition: you go to a bar afterward. You walk into the lecture hall, expecting to be bored. But the man who steps onto the stage is not what you imagined. He's in his 30s, with a shaved head and a saffron robe, but he speaks with the eloquence and charisma of a world-class leader. He talks about selfless sacrifice, about planting trees under whose shade you do not plan to sit. And as you listen, something inside you shifts. You learn that this man turned down a life that you and all your friends are desperately chasing. He had the chance to have everything the world values, and he walked away from it all to become a monk. And yet, he seems happier than anyone you've ever met. Truly, deeply happy. That night, you don't just hear an idea, you fall in love with one. You feel a sudden, undeniable urge to be around people who have the values you want, not just the things you want. This is the true story of Jay Shetty, and it's the moment that set him on a path to spending 3 years living as a monk in an ashram in India. His book, Think Like a Monk, is not just a collection of ancient philosophies, it's a powerful, practical guide to training your mind for peace and purpose in a world that's constantly pulling you in the opposite direction. This book has sold millions of copies and has been translated into dozens of languages, resonating with people from all walks of life. And today, we're going to explore the profound wisdom contained within its pages. By the end of our time together, you will understand the fundamental difference between the monkey mind that keeps us anxious and distracted, and the monk mind that brings us clarity and direction. You will learn the timeless secrets that monks have used for millennia to find inner peace, and I promise you, these secrets are more relevant today than ever before. Book summary. So, what is this monkey mind that Jay Shetty talks about? Imagine a monkey, swinging frantically from one branch to another. It grabs a fruit here, drops it, then chases a leaf over there. It's restless, scattered, and never truly focused on anything. That, Shetty says, is how most of us live inside our own heads. Our minds are constantly jumping from one thought to another. We worry about an email we need to send, then we compare our lives to someone's highlight reel on social media, then we criticize ourselves for not being productive enough. We're driven by short-term gratification, overthinking, and a constant feeling of being overwhelmed. This is the monkey mind. It complains, it compares, and it criticizes. It lives in the passenger seat of life, just going along for the ride. But there is another way. The monk mind. The monk mind doesn't swing from the branches, it looks for the root of the tree. It is focused, intentional, and compassionate. It seeks long-term gain over short-term pleasure. It analyzes problems instead of just reacting to them. It is disciplined, patient, and committed to a deeper purpose. The entire journey of this book is about learning how to elevate ourselves from the monkey mind to the monk mind. And that journey, like any great journey, begins not by adding more, but by letting go. The first part of thinking like a monk is about clearing the clutter. Shetty organizes this process into 3 essential acts of letting go: letting go of the world's opinions, letting go of negativity, and letting go of fear. Let's start with the opinions of others. There's a fascinating concept from a sociologist named Charles Cooley called the looking glass self. The idea is simple, yet mind-blowing. I am not what I think I am. I am not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. Let that sink in for a moment. Our identity isn't even based on what others actually think of us, it's based on our perception of their perception of us. We are living in a reflection of a reflection. We chase goals, buy things, and even choose our careers based on an imagined ideal we think will impress people we admire. We are all, in a sense, method actors, playing a role we think the world wants us to play. But in playing all these different roles, the perfect employee, the fun friend, the ideal partner, we lose sight of who we truly are. Shetty experienced this firsthand. When he decided to become a monk, he had to face the ultimate test of the looking-glass self. He joked that for his Indian parents, there were only 3 career options: doctor, lawyer, or failure. Choosing to become a monk was, in their eyes, the ultimate failure. The voices of family and friends were loud. "You've been brainwashed," some said. "You're throwing your life away," said others. Society has a script for a happy life: go to a good college, get a lucrative job, buy a home, get married. And while there's nothing wrong with that script, the problem arises when we follow it without ever asking ourselves if it's the story we want to write. To find our true selves, Shetty says we must filter out this noise. He tells a beautiful story about his teacher, Gauranga Das, who once led him into a dusty, old storeroom in the ashram. He pointed to a mirror so covered in dust that Jay couldn't even see his own reflection. His teacher said, "Your identity is a mirror covered with dust. When you first look in the mirror, the truth of who you are and what you value is obscured. Clearing it may not be pleasant, but only when that dust is gone can you see your true reflection. That dust is the opinions, expectations, and obligations of the world around us. So how do we clear it? We have to create space for silence and stillness. In the modern world, this is incredibly difficult. We are addicted to noise and distraction. In fact, studies have shown that many people would rather give themselves a mild electric shock than sit alone with their thoughts for just a few minutes. But we don't have to move to an ashram to find this space. Shetty suggests simple practices. Spend time each day just reflecting on your feelings. Once a month, go somewhere new, a park, a library, a different neighborhood, to see yourself in a new environment. And most importantly, conduct an audit of your life. Your actions, he says, tell the real story of your values. You might say you value family, but if you spend all your free time on the golf course, your actions are telling a different story. Look at where your time, your money, and your attention are going. Your phone can even show you your screen time report. Do you spend more time scrolling through social media than you do meditating or talking with loved ones? Do you spend more money on daily coffee than on healthy food? These are not judgments. They are data points that reveal your true, current values. Once you see what your values are, you can begin to consciously choose what you want them to be. The ancient Vedic texts, like the Bhagavad Gita, speak of higher and lower values. The higher values are things like gratitude, service, compassion, and truthfulness. These elevate us toward fulfillment. The lower values are greed, lust, anger, ego, and envy. These pull us down toward suffering. The first step in building a monk mind is to become aware of the dust covering your mirror and to begin, gently, to wipe it away. It's about choosing your own values, not just inheriting them from the world around you. But even when we start to clear away the external noise, we still have to deal with the noise inside our own heads, negativity. This brings us to the second act of letting go. Shetty tells a story from his time as an intern at a finance firm, a world away from the ashram. During lunch, his colleagues started gossiping about a coworker named Gabe. The partners tore apart his presentation, one said. "He's sinking fast," said another. Jay was immediately reminded of a class his teacher taught called Cancers of the Mind: comparing, complaining, criticizing. In the ashram, they did an exercise. Every time they criticized someone, they had to write down 10 good things about that person. It was a powerful way to realize that every person is more good than bad, and it rewired their brains to look for the good in others. He learned a profound truth: when we criticize others, we can't help but see the worst in ourselves. But when we look for the good in others, we start to see the best in ourselves too. Negativity, Shetty explains, often comes from a place of fear. We all have 3 core emotional needs: peace, love, and understanding. When one of these is threatened, we become negative. A fear of being disrespected can lead to criticism. A fear that bad things will happen can lead to complaining. A fear of not being loved can lead to insecurity and comparison. And the scary part is, negativity is contagious. We are social creatures, wired to conform. In the 1950s, the famous Asch conformity experiments showed that people would knowingly give a wrong answer just to fit in with a group. This is called groupthink bias. Our brain would rather agree with the crowd than deal with conflict. So, if we're surrounded by gossip and complaining, we naturally join in. Worse, venting doesn't actually help. Studies show that people who vent their anger are actually more aggressive afterward, not less. Complaining literally shrinks the part of your brain responsible for reasoning and memory. Shetty identifies several types of negative people we all encounter. The complainers, who are always finding problems but never solutions. The critics, who judge everyone else's choices. The casualties, who believe the world is always against them. The controllers, who try to micromanage everyone around them. The monk's approach to dealing with this isn't to judge these people, but to understand them. At the ashram, they were told to think of it as a hospital where everyone has a different sickness. You wouldn't judge someone for having a different disease than you. So, how do we handle this negativity, both from others and from within? Shetty introduces a simple, powerful framework: spot, stop, swap. First, you spot the negativity. This requires awareness. Try to go a week without complaining, comparing, or criticizing, and just keep a tally of how many times you fail. The simple act of noticing is the first step. You begin to see your patterns. Maybe you realize you're envious of a friend's success. That envy is a signal, guiding you to a darkness within yourself. A story from the ancient text, the Mahabharata, tells of an evil warrior who hides a burning coal in his robe, planning to throw it at his rival. But instead, it sets his own robe on fire, and he is the one who gets burned. Envy, Shetty says, makes you your own enemy. Next, you stop. This doesn't mean suppressing the thought. It means pausing to understand it. Get curious. If you're envious of your friend's adventurous life, it's not about them. It's about you. What is that envy telling you that you want for yourself? A famous saying goes, "The grass is greener where you water it." Instead of staring at their lawn, what seeds can you plant in your own? Finally, you swap. You replace the negative thought or behavior with a positive one. Instead of mindless complaining, you can practice mindful communication. Be specific about your feelings. Instead of saying "I'm angry," maybe you're really disappointed or frustrated. Monks are quiet not because they have nothing to say, but because they choose their words with immense care. You can also swap envy for something called mudita. It's a Sanskrit word for finding unselfish joy in the good fortune of others. Shetty puts it beautifully: if I only find joy in my own successes, I'm limiting my joy. But if I can take pleasure in the successes of my friends and family, 10, 20, 50 people I get to experience 50 times the happiness. The world tells us happiness is a limited resource, that if someone else gets a piece, there's less for us. But monks believe that in the theater of happiness, there is always a seat with your name on it. This process of spotting, stopping, and swapping is crucial for everyday negativity. But what about the deeper, more painful emotions, like anger from a past hurt? Here, Shetty introduces the powerful concept of am, the Sanskrit word for forgiveness. He explains that forgiveness is not something you do for the other person, it's an action you take within yourself. It frees you from the anger. He outlines different levels of forgiveness. At the bottom is revenge. Above that is conditional forgiveness. I'll forgive them if they apologize. But the goal is what he calls transformational forgiveness. This is when you find the strength to forgive without expecting anything in return. It's a gift you give yourself. The science on this is clear. Forgiveness is linked to better sleep, lower blood pressure, and reduced physical pain. It conserves your energy because you're no longer recycling those angry thoughts. Letting go of external opinions and internal negativity are huge steps. But there is one final, formidable obstacle we must face: fear. The third act of letting go is about transforming our relationship with fear. The Bhagavad Gita, one of the most sacred Hindu texts, opens on a battlefield. The hero, Arjuna, is the greatest archer in the land. But on the eve of a monumental battle, he looks out and sees his own family and friends on both sides. He knows many of them are about to die. He is paralyzed by terror and drops his bow. This is how Shetty introduces fear. He says that, like Arjuna, we all have so much to offer the world, but fear disconnects us from our abilities. We're taught that fear is a weakness, something to be hidden or ignored. But monks see it differently. Fear isn't inherently bad, it's a warning flag. It's your mind saying, pay attention, something might go wrong here. The real question is, what do we do with that signal? Shetty tells a powerful story about a fear meditation he did at the ashram. The monks were guided to relive a significant fear from their past, not just to think about it, but to feel it in their bodies. At first, Jay thought, I'm not really scared of anything. But as he went deeper into meditation, he kept asking himself one simple question, over and over: what am I really scared of? Flickers of truth began to appear. He saw his fear of exams as a kid. But he pushed deeper. What am I really scared of? He realized it wasn't the exams themselves, it was the fear of what his parents and friends would think of his scores. He pushed deeper still. He saw his fear of getting in trouble at school, his fear of being suspended. And finally, he reached the root. The deepest fear that connected all the others. He was afraid that he couldn't make his parents happy. It was a full-body aha moment. He realized that our surface-level fears, the branches, are almost always connected to a deeper, hidden fear, the root. Most of the time, our fear isn't about immediate, life-threatening danger. It's anxiety about money, our jobs, our relationships. And we let this anxiety hold us back. But what if, instead of running from it, we saw it as an opportunity? Shetty uses the analogy of trees in the biosphere to experiment. In this perfectly controlled environment, with purified air and nutrient-rich soil, trees would grow to a certain height and then simply fall over. Scientists were baffled, until they realized what was missing: wind. In nature, the stress of the wind forces trees to grow stronger bark and deeper roots. We, too, need challenges. We need wind to make us stronger. The first step in working with fear is to accept it. To turn toward it and say, I see you. Just as you would acknowledge a crying baby, you must acknowledge your fear. Breathe into it. Become familiar with it. This creates a space between you and the fear. You are not your fear, you are the one experiencing the fear. A simple but profound shift is to change your language from I am afraid to I feel afraid. This space allows you to see that the root of most of our fears is attachment. We are attached to our possessions, our reputation, our relationships, our ideas about how life should be. We cling to temporary things, and this clinging gives them power over us. The cure for fear, then, is detachment. This doesn't mean indifference. It doesn't mean you stop loving people or enjoying your life. It means understanding that everything is borrowed. Shetty says we are all lucky vacationers enjoying our stay in Hotel Earth. You can enjoy a beautiful Airbnb without dreading your departure every moment. In the same way, when we acknowledge that our blessings are temporary, we are free to enjoy them fully, without the constant fear of losing them. Once we clear the ground by letting go of external opinions, internal negativity, and debilitating fear, we can begin the second stage of the monk's journey, to grow. This is where we start to intentionally build a life of purpose, routine, and mental mastery. And it all begins with discovering your unique purpose, or what the Vedas call your dharma. Shetty tells a simple yet profound story to illustrate this concept. A monk is washing his feet in a river when he sees a scorpion drowning. He reaches down, scoops it up, and sets it on the bank. As he does, the scorpion stings his hand. A moment later, the scorpion foolishly falls back into the water. Again, the monk saves it, and again, he is stung. Another monk watching this asks, "Brother, why do you keep rescuing the scorpion when you know its nature is to sting?" The first monk replies, "Because to save it is my nature." That, in its essence, is dharma. It's your nature. It's your calling. Shetty defines it with a powerful formula: passion plus expertise plus usefulness equals dharma. Varna, a Sanskrit term, represents your passion and skills, the things you're naturally good at and love to do. Seva is selfless service, using those passions and skills to meet a need in the world. When your Varna connects with Seva, you are living in your dharma. This isn't some mystical treasure buried on a distant island. It's already woven into your being. But society often pushes us in the wrong direction. We're told, you can be anything you want to be. Shetty offers a more truthful and empowering alternative. You can't be anything you want. But you can be everything you are. The journey to discovering your dharma is inward. It's about self-awareness. Instead of focusing on our weaknesses, as school and work often force us to do, we should lean into our strengths. The Bhagavad Gita says it's better to do your own dharma imperfectly than to do another's perfectly. To help us find our nature, Shetty introduces the 4 Vedic personality types, or Varnas. These are not a rigid caste system, but rather archetypes to help us understand our natural inclinations. 1. The guide: you are a teacher, a coach, a mentor. You are driven by learning, wisdom, and sharing knowledge. You want to help people find meaning and purpose. 2. The leader: you are a natural ruler, protector, and organizer. You are driven by courage, strength, and the desire to provide structure and inspire people toward a common goal. 3. The creator: you are an innovator, an entrepreneur, a persuader. You are driven by making things happen, by trade, commerce, and bringing new ideas to life. 4. The maker: you are an artist, a musician, a builder, a supporter. You are driven by creating tangible things, by stability, and by providing the support systems that allow others to thrive. By understanding your Varna, you can focus your energy where you will flourish. A guide will feel drained if forced into a purely commercial creator role. A maker might feel lost without the structure provided by a leader. The key is to know yourself and then find where your nature can best serve the world. Once you have a sense of your purpose, the next step is to build a structure that allows it to flourish. This brings us to the power of routine. Shetty describes his first mornings at the ashram, waking up at 4 a.m. on a hard floor made of packed cow dung. At first, it was a shock. He was used to staying up late and being startled awake by an alarm clock or his mother shouting his name. But as he adapted, he learned a profound lesson. He had to go to sleep earlier. It sounds simple, but it was a fundamental shift. He had to let go of the fear of missing out on today in order to prepare for tomorrow. And when he did, he began to wake up naturally, peacefully, without a jarring intrusion. How we start our day, Shetty argues, programs us for the rest of the day. If you wake up late, rush through your morning, and check your phone within the first minute, you are launching your body and mind from 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. You're starting your day in a state of stress and high pressure. The solution is to wake up earlier, not to do more work, but to create space. Found time. Time for yourself. Shetty offers a simple acronym for a powerful morning routine, TIME. T is for thankfulness. Start your day by expressing gratitude for something: the air you breathe, the people you love, the coffee waiting for you. I is for insight. Read something, listen to a podcast. Gain a new perspective. M is for meditation. Spend just a few minutes in stillness, with your breath, with visualization, or with sound. E is for exercise. A few stretches, a short walk, a full workout. Move your body. But a good morning, he learned, is defined by the evening before. Lay out your clothes. Plan your next day. And most importantly, unwind with intention. Instead of scrolling through your phone until you fall asleep, visualize your ideal tomorrow. See yourself waking up energized, moving through your day with purpose, and coming home fulfilled. These routines create structure, and structure allows for creativity. But routine can also lead to monotony if we're not careful. That's why monks practice being present in every moment. Shetty introduces two powerful principles: location has energy, time has memory. Location has energy. Think about it. You feel different in a library than you do at a nightclub. In the ashram, every space had a single purpose. They didn't eat where they slept. They didn't meditate where they worked. When you bring work into your bedroom, you confuse the energy of that space and make it harder to rest there. Dedicate spaces in your home for specific activities, even if it's just a corner of a room. Time has memory. When you do something at the same time every day, it becomes easier. Your body and mind remember. If you want to build a new habit, like meditating, don't just try to fit it in whenever. Slot it into the same time each day, ideally linking it to an existing habit. Maybe you meditate for 5 minutes right after you brush your teeth. This leads to the practice of single tasking. In a world that glorifies multitasking, monks know it's a myth. Studies from Stanford University have shown that heavy multitaskers actually have poorer memory and less focus than people who do one thing at a time. When you are brushing your teeth, just brush your teeth. When you are in the shower, just be in the shower. Every moment is important and deserves to be experienced deeply. Having a purpose and a routine are essential, but the ultimate tool for growth is mastering the engine that drives it all, the mind. On a pilgrimage in South India, after a grueling 2-day train ride, Jay Shetty woke up in a warehouse, desperate for a shower. He was pointed down a wet, muddy path and told it was a 20-minute walk. He trudged through the rain, his flip-flops sinking into the mud, only to arrive at a row of shower stalls with no roofs. As the cold rain poured down on him, one voice in his head started screaming, "What are you doing here? You could be in a warm apartment in London, making a good salary. Life could be so much easier." This was the voice of his senses, his immediate desires. But as he walked back, another, quieter voice emerged. It pointed out that this miserable shower wasn't about getting clean. It was a test of his ability to tolerate difficulty. It was strengthening his mind. This internal battle is one we all face every day. A Cherokee story describes it as a fight between two wolves inside us. One is anger, envy, and greed. The other is joy, peace, and love. The grandson asks the elder, "Which wolf wins?" The elder replies, "The one you feed." The Vedic texts offer a more detailed analogy. The mind is like a chariot. The body is the chariot itself. The five senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, are five wild horses pulling it. The mind is the reins. And the intellect is the charioteer. In an untrained person, the charioteer, the intellect, is asleep. The horses, the senses, are in control, pulling the chariot wherever they please. They see a tasty-looking shrub and veer off the path. They hear a loud noise and get spooked. This is the reactive monkey mind, driven by sensory input. The goal of a monk is to wake up the charioteer. The intellect must learn to hold the reins, the mind, firmly, and guide the horses, the senses, with purpose. This isn't about killing the senses, it's about directing their energy. The first step is to manage your sensory input. Don't set yourself up to fail. A monk doesn't hang out in a casino. If you're trying to eat healthier, don't fill your pantry with junk food. If you get distracted by social media, set boundaries for yourself. Steer the chariot away from tempting fields. The second, deeper step is to build a relationship with your mind. Treat the impulsive, emotional part of your mind not as an enemy to be conquered, but as a child to be guided. When your mind says, "You can't do this," your intellect can respond with compassion. Like a wise parent, "I know you're worried, but you're strong. You can do it." You can literally talk to yourself. Studies show that speaking your goals out loud enhances focus and concentration. This is how you begin to rewrite the subconscious script that's been running your life. We all have these deep, automatic thoughts. "I'm not smart enough. I'm not worthy." These are old recordings. The monk mind learns to consciously press record and create a new track. One of the most powerful ways to train the mind is to manage the ego. Shetty clarifies that there's a difference between the real ego, our core consciousness, and the false ego. The false ego is the identity we build to feel important. It's the part of us that needs to be right, to be praised, to be seen as better than others. It's the voice that makes us pretend we've heard of a band at a music festival just to seem cool. The ego is an obstacle to growth because it makes us think we already know everything. It isolates us. It creates a false sense of hierarchy, making us believe some people are more valuable than others. And it's a double-edged sword. The same ego that inflates us when we succeed is the one that devastates us when we fail. The elixir for the ego is humility. Humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. It's the understanding that you are great at some things and not so good at others. It's being open to learning from anyone. Shetty shares a simple monk practice to cultivate humility. There are 2 things to remember and 2 things to forget. Remember the bad you've done to others. This forces your ego to acknowledge your imperfections. Remember the good others have done for you. This fosters gratitude and reminds you that you need others. And the 2 things to forget? Forget the good you've done for others. If you fixate on your own good deeds, your ego grows. Forget the bad others have done to you. This is the practice of forgiveness, which frees you from negativity. True confidence doesn't come from a big ego. It comes from healthy self-esteem. The ego fears what people will say. Self-esteem filters it. The ego compares itself to others. Self-esteem compares itself to its past self. The ego wants to prove itself. Self-esteem wants to be itself. After letting go and learning to grow, we arrive at the final, and most important part of the monk's journey, to give. This is the ultimate expression of a trained mind. It is where we find the deepest meaning and fulfillment. This path of giving is built on 3 pillars: gratitude, relationships, and service. Let's begin with gratitude. If thankfulness were a drug, Shetty says, it would be the world's most powerful, all-purpose medicine. The science is overwhelming. Gratitude is linked to better mental health, better sleep, stronger relationships, and even a healthier immune system. But true gratitude isn't just a hashtag you add to a photo of a sunset. It's a deep, intentional practice. Monks believe that every moment is a gift we didn't earn and don't deserve. We are so used to thinking we deserve our blessings but don't deserve our misfortunes. Gratitude flips this. It recognizes that every good thing is a form of grace. The practice can be simple. Start a gratitude journal. Before each meal, take a moment to give thanks for the food. When you wake up, before you check your phone, think of one thing you're grateful for. And crucially, practice gratitude even for the difficult moments. Don't judge the moment as bad. Instead, ask, what is the opportunity here? What can I learn from this? When Brian Acton, the co-founder of WhatsApp, was rejected for jobs at Twitter and Facebook, he tweeted his gratitude for the opportunity. 5 years later, Facebook bought his app for $19 billion. The universe, Shetty says, may have a better plan for you. Gratitude opens our hearts, and this naturally leads us to our second pillar of giving, better relationships. My time as a monk, Shetty says, forever changed how he connects with people. In the ashram, he learned about the circle of love. We often give love to people who don't return it, while failing to notice the love coming to us from others. Maybe you're frustrated that a friend isn't texting you back, but at that exact moment, your mother is wishing you would call her. The love we give out, his teacher told him, always comes back, but often from a different place. Our lack of gratitude is what makes us feel unloved. To build strong relationships, we need to have clear expectations. Shetty introduces 4 types of trust we look for in people, and it's rare to find them all in one person. 1. Competence. This person is an expert. You trust their skills and knowledge. 2. Care. This person has your best interests at heart. They care about your well-being, not just your success. 3. Character. This person has a strong moral compass. You trust their integrity and values. 4. Consistency. This person is reliable. They are there for you through thick and thin. You might go to one friend for career advice competence, another for emotional support care, and another when you need a reality check character. It's about building your own family of support, recognizing that no single person can be your everything. This understanding is especially important in romantic relationships. Before he was a monk, Shetty's relationships were a mess. He was focused on the wrong things. His 3 years of celibacy and self-reflection allowed him to become the person he would want to date. Instead of looking for someone to complete him, he worked on making himself whole. He says we often focus on 3 levels of attraction: physical, intellectual, and material. But lasting relationships are built on 2 deeper levels of compatibility: emotional and spiritual. Do you share values? Do you have a similar vision for life? Love is kept alive not by reliving the past, but by creating new memories. Learn together. Serve together. Grow together. This brings us to the final, highest pillar of giving: service. Shetty tells the story of being sent into a village with a group of other monks, with no money and no food, for 30 days. For the first week, they were in survival mode, driven by fear and selfishness. By the second week, they had figured out how to get by. But by the final week, a profound shift occurred. They were secure enough to look around and notice the people who were truly in need, the elderly, the children, the disabled. They realized that even with nothing, they still had wealth. They had strength, youth, and ability. And in that moment, they understood. The journey wasn't about their survival, it was about their service. The highest purpose in life, Shetty declares, is to live in service. This is seva, selfless service. It's giving simply because it is right to give, without thought of return. We often think, I'll serve when I have more time, or I'll give back when I'm more successful. But this is a trap. You will never have enough time or money. The shift must happen in your mindset, from a mindset of sufficiency, I have just enough for me, to a mindset of service, I have something to give, and I want more so that I can give more. Service is the ultimate life hack. It's the direct path to a meaningful life. When you are living in service, you don't have time to complain. Your fears go away. Your gratitude multiplies. Your ego diminishes. It is the culmination of all the monk teachings. As the Nobel Peace Prize winner Kailash Satyarthi said, his struggle is for the globalization of compassion. For monks, and for all of us, there is no us and them. We are one family. All suffering belongs to all of us. This doesn't mean you have to quit your job and join a monastery. It's about the spirit with which you live. It's about asking new questions. How does my work serve a broader purpose? How can I use my unique talents to make a difference? How can I plant a tree under whose shade I do not plan to sit? Service is always the answer. Commentary. As we come to the end of our journey through Think Like a Monk, it's clear that this isn't just a book about ancient practices, it's a deeply relevant manual for modern life. In a world that prizes speed, distraction, and external validation, Jay Shetty offers a radical alternative, a path inward. The most powerful and recurring theme, for me, is the contrast between the monkey mind and the monk mind. It's such a simple, yet profound, metaphor for the daily battle we all fight inside our own heads. We've all felt that frantic, anxious energy of the monkey, swinging from worry to comparison to regret. And we've all, at some point, yearned for the calm, focused, and purposeful energy of the monk. What makes this book so transformative is that it doesn't just describe these two states, it gives us a practical, step-by-step process for making the shift. The 3 stages, let go, grow, and give, provide a complete architecture for redesigning our inner world. It's a journey from clearing out the weeds of negativity and fear, to planting the seeds of purpose and routine, and finally, to harvesting the fruits of gratitude and service. The wisdom here is timeless, but Shetty's gift is his ability to make it accessible. He bridges the gap between the ashram and the office, between ancient scriptures and modern science. He shows us that you don't have to wear a robe to think like a monk. You just have to be willing to do the inner work. So, how can you start applying these powerful ideas to your own life, right now? Here are 3 simple actions you can take today. First, reclaim your morning with the time. Routine. Just for tomorrow, don't grab your phone the moment you wake up. Instead, take a few minutes for thankfulness, insight, meditation, and exercise. Even if it's just 1 minute for each, you'll be starting your day with intention, not reaction. Second, practice spot, stop, swap just once today. The next time you feel a negative thought bubbling up, a complaint, a comparison, a criticism, just spot it. Acknowledge it without judgment. Then, stop. Pause and ask yourself, what is this thought really about? What fear or need is driving it? Finally, swap it. Reframe it, find a sliver of gratitude, or replace it with a thought that serves you better. And third, find one small, unexpected act of service. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Let someone go ahead of you in line. Send a thank you text to a friend for no reason. Offer to help a colleague with a task. Service is a muscle, and the smallest reps begin to build its strength. That was a summary of Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. We've touched on the core principles today, but I have to be honest with you, a summary can only ever be a map. The real treasure is found on the journey itself. The true magic happens when you read the book, when a particular story or a simple phrase connects with you in a way you didn't expect. This summary is designed to help you decide if this book is worth your time and attention. If anything we've discussed today has sparked a light within you, I encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning, it's an experience that can genuinely change the way you see yourself and the world around you. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It lets me know that this work is making a difference, and it ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book. Let's keep growing, and let's keep learning together.